Believe it or not, 1 week from today, the speculation, the guessing, and most importantly, the mock drafts, well, they'll all come to an end. The NFL draft begins 7 nights from tonight. Of course, until then, it's our contractual duty to speculate, guess, and mock whom the Saints will take at 8, and frankly, where other players might go when you factor in the odds. Who are the Saints' top choices? Hint, even the odds makers who know just about everything, well, even they apparently don't know. But we do have our draft partner, NOLA.com assistant sports editor Zach Ewing, with us to go through the options with us. And we also have an absolutely fantastic Dat Date this morning. And since Gabe is gone, Zach is going to play the role of Jeopardy contestant or something like that. There are plenty of happy birthdays and a new NFL uniform to make fun of. We said we still had a week to mock. Oh, you meant a different kind of mock. Well, let's see what kind of trouble we can get in. You know, the Dattitude podcast, whatever happens, happens. And it'll happen next.
Ready to hear the straight scoop on local and national sports? It's time for Jim Derry's take on the Saints, LSU, what betting lines to ponder, and more. He's got opinions, he's got insight, and he's got Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, Dattitude family? Are you ready for all the mocks to end? All the hype? All the absolute garbage of BS? Okay, good. Now, you're not ready. That's a good thing. Woo! I was a little worried for a minute. That means we can continue with Dattitude. Episode number 495, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Thursday, April the 16th, 2026. We have a lot of interesting stuff this morning. In case you're new here, I'm your host, Jim Derry, 35 and a half years in the New Orleans sports media scene, also a member of the accredited Saints media coverers. How about that? How about that for words? Man, I'm at a loss for words this morning. There's some things that we're going to talk about today that just make me at a loss for words. It's coming up. I promise you, we're going to have a lot of fun on today's show. Thank you for spending, well, at least you spend part of your morning with me. See you later for those of you like, who's this ass clown? See you later. I'm gone. Yeah, no. The regulars will stay. That's what's important. What's on today's show? Zach Ewing is on today's show, again, as he is usually every Friday, but we're doing Thursday today. We told you a couple weeks ago we had some weird schedules coming up, and those weird schedules are finally about to come to an end as we get back to normal, or mostly normal next week. We got Monday back next week. Will be on Monday and Wednesday. Live draft show on Thursday, so no show next Friday because we're going to be on the air forever. I mean, I think we're going to start at about 6:30. We're going to start a little bit before the draft starts, half an hour ish. Maybe a little less than a half an hour. So anyway, somewhere around 6:30, we will start the live show. We'll be on both NOLA.com's insiders channels and here on Dattitude. I don't know if it's going to be on the Facebook page yet or not. It might only be here on YouTube, so you'll have to check with me next week. But it'll be live both of those times. Zach is hosting. I am I guess you would say I would be playing the role of color analyst. I don't know. It's a live broadcast, so whatever you want to call me. Just don't call me Mel Kiper. I'll be anybody but him. I got better hair than Mel Kiper. So that's coming up next week. But we have Monday. Garland Gillen's going to be. We have the next couple of weeks kind of planned out for the most part. We still have a couple surprises that I'm not ready to share just yet. But we got Garland on Monday. We've got I haven't asked him, but I think Zach's going to come on Wednesday. The Thursday live draft show, and then the week after the draft, I think I'm going to have Zach back on, so we'll have back to back in a way. Zach will be on the Monday after as we go through the draft. How did the Saints do? Not just in the first round, obviously. That Monday after the draft, what is that, the 27th, I believe? Is that April 27th is a Monday? It's the 23rd is a Thursday, live TV. This is the 24th is Friday, 26th is Sunday. Yeah. See how quickly I did that with my Shaw math? Monday, April 27th, Zach will be here. And then Wednesday, the 29th, is show number 499. And for those of you who have been with me for a long time, you know that with my regular Friday guest back way back when we first started this gig and we first started doing live and video and all that stuff was Jeff Duncan. And he was my Friday guest for a couple of years. And he's going to be coming on show number 499. I'll get his opinion. And he hasn't been on for a while. I don't remember the last time Dunk was on the show. But I reached out to him last night. We're excited about that. So he's going to come on Wednesday, April 29th. Not only will he talk about what happened with the draft and his opinions there, we'll also talk about that'll be the Wednesday before the Kentucky Derby. And for any of y'all who have paid attention to Jeff Duncan at all, he is from Louisville and he is a huge Kentucky Derby guy. He goes every year. He might have missed last year. I don't know. I'll have to ask him. But he's going to come on and give us a couple picks to make for the Kentucky Derby. I don't bet horse racing except for the Kentucky Derby. If I win the Kentucky Derby, then I'll bet on the Preakness. But that's it. That's about all I do. I don't go to the track. I haven't been to the track, and I can't remember when. Nothing against it. I actually like horse racing a lot. I just don't know. I don't understand it at all. So he's going to come on. And then on Friday, May the 1st, we got some surprises for you. Friday, May 1st is episode number 500. And we have kind of also, I know some of y'all asked like why we had weird schedule. There's been multiple reasons. I've got things going on. Most of y'all know that I took a job with Sports Illustrated. This has kind of been a week of me getting ready for the gig, learning how they do things. I think my first published story will come tomorrow. I think it's going to be tomorrow. This show is going to end a little bit earlier than usual today. I have a virtual meeting at 1 with the people from Sports Illustrated. So I had to make sure that I get off the air and do some post-production and get ready and done that. And I have a game tonight as well, a first-round series for VSN. North Shore is hosting Natchitoches Central. If you want to catch me on play-by-play tonight with Jim Rapier and the crew. Yeah, I think the SI stuff. And one of the things that I'm doing, I don't know if it's going to run tomorrow, but I know coming up we're going to have we're going to do this here on the show. I'm going to put some of this on the show. We're going to incorporate a lot of the SI stuff that we're doing here on the show and vice versa. So the show actually will be on SI. That's going to be pretty cool. Embedded in a lot of my stories. But one of the things that we're going to do with the first, and I was working on it for a long time last night, is going through. There are 59. Whoever gets drafted, assuming the Saints don't trade out of the first round, whoever gets drafted next Thursday night will become the 60th first-round draft pick in Saints history, and it is completely a coincidence that this just happens to be the 60th year of the Saints, 60th season of the Saints coming up. Because there are some years where the Saints didn't have a first-round draft pick, and obviously some years where they had two. So it just coincidentally, this will be the 60th first-round draft pick coming up for the New Orleans Saints. We're going to go through the other 59. I did one of the most popular shorts I ever did were all the past starting quarterbacks in New Orleans Saints history. Y'all remember that? I did that short. I don't know. It's probably almost a year ago. Maybe not quite a year ago. And that ended up being one of the most popular shorts I've ever done. But we did it inside of the show. And so maybe we'll do that next week. Maybe I'll put together a little thing, a little compilation. And you think is it possible to cut down 59 number one draft picks into a 3-minute clip? I don't know. But if we can do it, we sure can try. So that's coming up next week. Again, that's going to be one of my first, maybe not the first published story, but that's going to be one of my first published stories on SI. So anyway, some good stuff coming up. Again, episode number 500 on Friday, May the 1st. Got some special guests, plural, but I'm not ready to announce them yet. So that's all coming up. You know what's special about our show? You talk to us, we talk back to you. So if you want to comment, we would love to have you. Doesn't matter if it's your first show, if it's show number 495 or somewhere in between. If you type in, we are going to show it, unless you're just a complete dummy, then we might not. I don't know, though. I like those. I mean, those are some of my most fun ones. I do show most of those, too. If you type it in, we're probably going to show it, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or even X. If you're watching on X, you can type it in, and we will show it there, too. Reminder, the best way to support this channel is, A, to give us a thumbs up and a like. That's the easiest way, number one. Number two is, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the Dattitude YouTube page. We would love for you to do that. And then there are other ways to support the channel. You know how to do that, and we will honor everyone who wants to support us in any way possible. We would appreciate it. If you're watching after the fact, you can find me on X at Jim Derry Jr. Email me at jimderry.com. All right, this is how I'm going to start the show. Zach's going to come on about 11:25 this morning, and he's going to probably be on for most of the show. We're going to talk. This show is going to be, as you know, I mean, it's a week from draft day. What do you think we're going to talk about today? That is going to be what we spend most of our time talking about. So he's coming on about 11:25, but there are a couple other things I wanted to talk about, and number one is the Washington Commanders. Did you see this yesterday? They have a new uniform coming up. It's not really all that new, to be honest. They just tweaked it. So some of it's almost exactly the same as I was trying to figure out, like, what's really different. They've been promising a new uniform. I'm like, is this really different? I don't really understand what's different. The W is the same. It's the same color scheme. For the most part, it's the same uniforms that they wore last year. And I'm going to, sorry if I offend the 1.6% of the people who get offended by stuff like this, but they're doing their best. They want to go back to being the Redskins so bad, but I guess afraid to do so. So they're going back to the Redskins without actually calling themselves Redskins. So this is what I would suggest to you Commanders, okay? Commanders is a stupid name. I think we can all agree that Commanders is just an app. If you want to change your name, fine. Commanders is an absolutely stupid name. So here's a way to kind of go with the W that is. What about Washington Warriors? Then you can kind of go with some of the old themes, and I get you want to stay away from something, fine. That's fine. But change your name to the Washington Warriors. And I saw a lot of Washington fans, most of whom want Redskins back, but that's a whole different story. But a lot of them are saying, and it makes sense, you can go to Warriors. But here's the uniform if you didn't see it. It's the compilation of, there are 3 of them. Now, somebody's going to have to tell me, before we get to the black uniform, which I absolutely love, by the way. I love that helmet. The helmet's fantastic. I'm not a huge fan of the W that they have, but it's okay. But if they change it to Warriors, that would really go well, because it's for W stands for Washington, stands for Warriors, whatever you want it to stand for. But is it just me, or is there any difference between? I don't get what's different. Maybe I just missed it, and I should have gone and looked for what was last year. But somebody's going to have to tell me what's different about the other two. And you see Terry McLaurin and Jaden Daniels there wearing the white and the burgundy or maroon. Or I think they get mad when you call it maroon. It's actually burgundy and gold. And again, that's not gold. That's yellow. But whatever. They call it whatever they want. It's fine. But I don't know what's different than what they wore last year. And last year they kind of tweaked it to go back. It was like maybe it's just their alternate jerseys that they're going to permanently. I don't hate them. I think it's old school. It's fine. But I really do like this black jersey, which I think is fantastic. You take a look at it. They got the helmet's a little different. It's got the 3 stripe, but I love the spear going through the W. I think is outstanding. But what does that have to do with the Commander? Nothing. It doesn't have anything to do with the Commander. Just change your name to the Warriors. I think we all can agree that, at least with that would look good. And that would, I mean, again, in the grand scheme of things, I don't really care. I mean, we don't really care, but I care enough to spend 3 minutes talking about it this morning, because I think these really look good. I think they did a great job with this. I don't love all the new uniforms. We should have talked about the Falcons, by the way. Maybe we'll talk about that next week. The Falcons changed their uniforms too, by the way. Did everybody see that? That's right. Your dirty birds. They had one of the worst uniforms on the planet the last few years, when they changed that block ATL and that stupid number font that they were wearing. And I'm a uniform connoisseur, so I do talk about uniforms a lot. They do matter to me. I think the Saints actually, as good as the Saints are and as wonderful as the Saints uniform, I think they need a little tweaking. It's getting a little old. I went back in time to see how long they've basically been wearing the same uniforms since like 2000. Okay, the last time that they kind of changed was 2000-ish. It was right out, not long after Jim Haslett got here. But if you remember when Ditka came, they started wearing the gold numbers on the white jerseys with the black outline, and that was a little weird. And again, I don't hate the Saints uniforms. In fact, I think they're one of the best in the NFL. I put them in the top 10 for sure. but they need some tweaking. And those pants, they need to go back to the old gold, the gold they used back in the 60s and early 70s. If you look at those old Saints helmets, man, that deeper gold, that's what they need to go back to. We'll see if they do or not. But we'll show the Falcons uniforms next year and talk about it. I just got a kick out of the Commanders uniforms. I'm telling you, they want to be the Redskins again so bad, but they just don't want to use the name. So choose Warriors. Doesn't that make sense? Warriors? It sounds pretty good to me. You know what else sounds pretty good to me? Our friends at Evangeline Securities. They sound pretty good. They're a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. And just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. If that's you, someone you know, they got a business. You got a family-run business. Your uncle has a family-run business. He's killing himself. He's been doing this thing. His dad did it, and his dad did it before him. They've owned this business for 80 years, and he's tired. He's ready to move on. Whatever it is. He at least wants to know what it's worth if he can even think about retiring. You know what? That's where Nick Braden comes in. That's when it's time to reach out to Evangeline's founding partner, Nick Braden. He will start by scheduling a complimentary valuation from his office, either on Poydras Street or in Lafayette. From there, you will be well informed and begin to make the decision on if you want to proceed. What happens after that? We'll tell you later in the show. In the meantime, you can check them out at www.evangelinesecurities.com. And while you're at it, talking about small businesses, you need insurance. You need to think about my friend Joe DiStefano. If you own a small business of fewer than 20 employees, you know how tough it is to get the best rates on health insurance. That's why you want to call Joe DiStefano Insurance. Joe and I have known each other for almost 40 years. I can tell you that he's someone that I trust. Look, health insurance shouldn't be one size fits all. And with Joe DiStefano, you get access to PPO networks and flexible plans designed to fit you, not just a cookie cutter mold. Joe's licensed, he's local, but he can help you no matter where you live and operate. From preventative care to peace of mind, we'll tailor a plan that works for your life today and tomorrow. Call Joe DiStefano at 504-234-2132 to protect what matters most. Let's get on with the show. And you know what that means. It's time for some comments. If you want to comment, you know how to do it. You're watching on YouTube, type it in. If you're watching on Facebook, type it in. If you're watching on X, I think you can type it in. I don't know. Every now and then I see a comment from X. I'm not sure that X really exists. I'm about to we can stream to 3 different places. I'm actually thinking about streaming to Instagram. Not that I hardly ever use Instagram, but I don't know. Anyway, I'm all over the place. See how lost I am without Gabe? By the way, Gabe is on a mini vacation. He is gone. He is in I think it's a bachelor party. He is in New York City. Went to a Yankees game last night and sent us a picture of his seats. Looks like he's having a great time. So we'll miss Gabe, but Zach is going to fill in for Gabe today, not only with his own segment, but he's going to play the Dat Date today. Is fantastic. I'm just telling you. I'm not just saying that. Dat Date is fantastic today. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. Yes, sir, Jerry, on a Thursday. Must have a new schedule or something. No, it's not just because it's NFL draft week. I've had so many things going on. We talked about it last week. I know you probably missed it, but yes, we have a weird schedule this week. It was Tuesday and Thursday this week. We're back to normal for the most part next week. The week after, we're definitely back to normal. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I don't see any changes in the near future of Monday, Wednesday, Friday after this week. I think after next week, excuse me. After we get past the draft, I see Monday, Wednesday, Friday in my future for a very long term without any breaks anytime soon. That is coming up. Charles Magus, good morning. Happy Friday. Oh, snap. It is indeed Thursday. Good morning, Mark Gapsky. 7 days to the draft. Took Thursday night off of the draft. You'll be watching the draft show. So glad to have you, Mark, and anyone else. All the regulars, make sure you're there. If you don't know, you do now. Live on this same channel. It might look a little weird because we'll be using the NOLA.com graphics. And Zach will be hosting, and I'll be on the right side instead of the left side. It's going to be the same old thing. You're going to want to be, if the Saints draft Mansour Delane with the 8th pick of the draft, you're going to want to watch. Other than that, we'll see. We'll get into all that later. S. Callie, good morning. So glad you're here. Chad Gage, a member, a Dattitude member and a regular. Thank you so much for being here. Hello, everybody. Baines car accident concern. I didn't even know about that. Ruben Bain had a car accident, huh? I did not see. When was that? Car accident? Let's look it up. Live TV, everybody. Live TV. Oh, in 2024, he was involved in a fate. Oh, I did not. I don't know why I didn't see that. It shows you how busy I've been. I did not see this at all. Oh, per report, he was involved in a car accident in 2024. I'm gonna have to look in. I can't say it doesn't concern me if I haven't read into it yet. That's not who I want anyway. But we'll ask Zach what I know. Zach knows about it. He says he seems to be hushed in Miami, got star treatment, no longer care to draft him. I didn't care to draft him anyway. Just saying. Although he is part of our title side this morning, in case you didn't see it, I don't want to be a hypocrite because he's definitely one of the guys that's up there. Is his draft going to stock going to fall? Do the Saints think about trading up or down? Gonna be an interesting decision for them to make. In fact, you know what? Let's put the Saints odds slide because we see Ruben Bain is the favorite right now to be drafted by the New Orleans Saints at plus 350. And we've told you this before. These odds are a little weird because the odds makers don't really know. When you see a favorite that's plus 350, that means they have no idea. When the favorite is 3.5 to 1, they don't know who's going to be selected. And this isn't just the Saints. I can't find it anywhere. I mean, and Gabe's not here to back me up, but I can't find it anywhere. This is just the odds on who's going to be taken at number 8 because we've told you we don't know for sure if the Saints are going to stay at 8. I think if you told me there's a 100% certainty that the Saints are going to trade up or trade down, I know it's not in their MO, and I know they don't usually do it, but I would actually say if there was a 100% chance and I had to pick one, I would say they trade down. And the reason being is I think if these offensive linemen slip like they're projected to slip, these top 2 offensive linemen slip, and they don't go in the top 7, I think there are going to be people behind the Saints wanting to get one of those guys. And the Saints might only have to move down a few slots and still get maybe their pick of the litter at 11 or 12 or 13 or whatever it is. I think there's a chance that happens. So that's why I would say if something's going to happen and the Saints going to move up or down, I think it's going to be down. So these are the odds for who's going to be picked at number 8. And interestingly enough, we talk about the possibility there might be a value pick there. Who's the first lineman at number 8 to Francis Mauiaga at plus 2,000. That actually might be does someone want to jump up and take Kenyon Sadiq? He's plus 1,600. Not on this list. I mean, Sonny Styles is 8th. He's not going to be there still. I don't think he'll still be there at 8. So there are the other 2 linemen are at plus 2,200 and plus 2,800. Maybe those are, if you actually want to put $5 on it and bet on it and have fun with it, maybe those are because maybe the Saints trade out of this pick. I don't think this. I'm going to ask Zach this later on, but I don't think the Saints draft a lineman. Who knows? It's an interesting scenario. But as far as what you're talking about, Bain, I don't necessarily. I don't know. I'll ask Zach what he thinks, but I don't think it changes. I don't think he drops far in the draft. That's what you're asking. Gapsky says McShay has is trading up 3 spots there. No, the Saints trade up. They're not trading up to draft an edge rusher. I mean, maybe we'll be on the show Thursday and I'll look silly. Wouldn't be the first time, but I don't see that at all. Good morning, Earl. Glad you're here. Nathan Thomas is here. Good morning. One more week. Absolutely. Dylan Smith says, we ain't going nowhere. Bring it on. Trying. Guess who's back? Back again. It's Rock. The Rock is here. Kyle Goday. Fly, Eagles, fly. Not them Eagles. Not those Eagles, silly. Shaw Eagles. Come on, man. Lance is here. You know what name we can't say today? Everybody keep their mouths shut. I don't want to piss them off. Dylan also says the Stark Vegas Derby coming up next weekend. The Weenie Dog races. We don't want to miss it. Yeah. I'm going to miss it. Probably. Hart says not to ask Zach about last night's Mariners game. He's still angry. I didn't even pay attention. I guess I missed it. I'll ask him what happened. Christopher Crump. Can't wait for them blankety blank offense for Shuck. Great show. Class of 79 HL Bourgeois High School. Wow. Congratulations to class of HL Bourgeois High School. And you're celebrating your 47th. Your 50th reunion is coming up in 3 years. Wow. Thank you, my brother. Literally my brother-in-law. Hart said Washington briefly considered changing to Warriors before picking the Commanders. That got leaked, and people complained that Warriors was also insensitive to Native Americans, so they picked Commanders. And guess what? Don't get me started. Just don't get me started. I've already got started. Sean, the Color Rush uniform needs to become their main uniform. I think it needs to be their main away uniform. I don't like wearing white at home. However, I love the old. I've said this before. I love the old goal. Their Color Rush uniforms are fantastic, and I agree. I wish they would make that their away uniform all the time, and wear the old school black with the old school goal with the stripes. Go back to something along those lines. Maybe change the number font and go back to the old helmets. Love it. Absolutely. 100% agree. Let's see. Houghton Saint says, have ever taken the trash out of one bag just to put it in a different one? That's kind of like Atlanta changed their uniforms. Yeah, maybe. Sean says the Washington Battlehawks. Isn't that St. Louis's name in the UFL? Battlehawks? I'm not into these. I'm not into that kind of stuff. Just call yourself the Hawks. And anyway, there's already a Hawks, Seahawks. So yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. Thank you so much, Charles Mangus, for the support. Draft a wide receiver. That's worth $5. Absolutely, draft a wide receiver. I don't think it's gonna happen. Got to get to Zach. We're running over here, and a couple other things real quick before I do. Let's see. Oh yeah, there it is. Sorry, Lance. Crickets on Derek Carr. Come up. I had to say it. Nobody wants an average quarterback who will walk out when it's good. Oh God, come on, man. Y'all don't need to hate on Derek Carr anymore. He's gone, man. Let it go. Let it go. You don't need to hate on him anymore. He's gone. And you say no one's biting on him, but I got a feeling the Steelers are in la-la land right now. And if Aaron Rodgers, who's woo-sawing somewhere, just saying, they got to have somebody. And my guess is the next best thing for them would probably be Derek Carr. And that's completely and simply just a guess. Let's bring him in. We can get his. I mean, I didn't plan on talking about this, Zach Ewing, but you think the Steelers, if they can't get Aaron Rodgers, they've already, I mean, Cousins is already gone. I mean, who's the next best option?
Ty Simpson.
I mean, maybe.
It doesn't feel like a fit to me. I mean, maybe. I don't know how Mike McCarthy would feel about Derek Carr. Like, obviously, he had the chance, right, to interview with the Saints when Carr was still the quarterback, and we don't know.
Maybe
exactly
he knew that he wasn't coming back.
Behind the scenes. No, but he didn't know that at the time he was interviewing.
Or maybe he did.
And he that's not to say that his decision did or didn't have anything to do with Derek Carr, or even that the Saints would have definitely offered him the job if he wanted it. We don't know any of that, but it would be interesting. I mean, I feel like the most likely scenario for Derek is the Phillip Rivers route from last year, where some team that's in the playoff hunt in October, but then suffers a serious injury at quarterback, is looking around and saying, "Oh my God, we can't go with the backup because we're just going to tank the season if we do that." Who could keep the ship, in I'm trying to make a canal joke with Iran, and I'm deciding not to do it. But who can keep the car on the road, no pun intended, long enough for us to get into the playoffs? And maybe that's an opportunity for Derek Carr to get picked.
Maybe we could call them the Washington politicians, David Gordon said.
I mean,
I
I really like the idea and it was being floated around when they were changing the name of the Washington Red Tails, which was the it's like the World War II Tuskegee Airmen who
Okay. I go for that.
they were the first black military aviators in World War II, and they were going to have a similar color scheme, and obviously the name would have been similar. And I like that idea. I thought
okay, I could go for that. But Commanders is just boring and dumb. And like I was saying, and look, I really like this alternate uni that they're going to. And again, okay, you don't want to call yourself you're afraid to offend people with Redskins. Okay, fine. Then why can't you change it to Warriors? I don't understand. I mean, Warriors would be a perfect fit with this helmet and scheme, and just go to this. I think this is a fantastic alternate uniform and a fantastic look, in my opinion. So, I mean,
Yeah, I wouldn't have had a problem with Warriors, obviously. I mean, I will say they didn't change the name because they were afraid of offending people. They changed the name because they were offending people. I mean, there were people
they offended about 12 people.
We can all sit. I think it was more than that, Jim.
Okay, 15.
We can sit here and say people were being thin-skinned, but there was a whole petition, and it had been an issue for a long time. So,
yeah, it seems. I don't want to get too far into the weeds.
I mean, we don't need to relitigate it.
We don't.
They changed the name, and I'm with you there. They chose the most banal name possible. It was just
they really did.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many. I like the Red Tails idea, though. I didn't know about that. And
this Washington football team, if they were going to just choose Commander.
WFT. The WFT. Good morning, Adam. He wants offense at 8. Okay. And Lance is really, I knew he would be upset about talking about who. Let's every time you mention the name. Oh, what happened to the I didn't even see that.
I don't want to talk about it, man.
I saw that. Were they up 6-3? That's the last I saw.
6-2 going in the 9th inning.
6-2. Okay.
Didn't go well from there.
You mean their bullpen's like the Cubs bullpen?
I mean, it was weird. They brought Munoz in. They brought their big gun in with a 4-run lead because he hadn't pitched in 3 days, and he didn't pitch well. But he they got one little excuse me double that the infield shifted over to the right, and the guy check swings it, and it rolls down the third baseline where there's nobody home. They got a bloop single. They got an infield single chopped just over Munoz's head. I mean, and then the wheels kind of came off after that. But
sorry to hear it. I am a closet Mariners fan because
I'm not going to get to.
Yeah, I mean, you got to hear some of the things my son's saying. Don't get me started. Anyway, all right, let's move on. People don't want to hear us talk about that. Let's talk about the live draft show that NOLA.com and Dattitude are doing together next Thursday. Tell everybody about it and what we're going to be doing and how much fun we're going to have.
That's just it, man. We're just going to hang out and have fun and spoil the picks before TV gets them.
We drink beer on the air?
I don't have a problem with it.
Nice.
I'm not driving anywhere. I'm going to be here in my home.
I think I might crack a couple. I haven't had a beer in a while.
The year before. You got to have the right combination of caffeine and alcohol in your system, but not too much of either. And just got to ride that fence right there. But it's going to be a lot of fun. We kind of scour social media for the picks, and we get them up, and you'll hear them.
You do a really good job with Gabe. You and Gabe really do a good job. I don't even know where you'll find it.
Certainly before you hear them on TV, but this way you don't have to scour social media to find them. We'll get them up. We'll figure it out pretty quickly, and then we'll talk about it. And the first 8 picks, of course, are going to be talking about how this affects the Saints, and it's also going to be about how after that will obviously be a lot of Saints talk, but we'll also talk about the division, talk about where the Saints fit, what other holes they have to address on day 2. Is there a possibility they pop back into the first round? I think that's at least feasible. I don't think I would predict it, but it's at least feasible.
Sav says he just got here. He said that was a fun 9th inning, Zach. I guess
I had a different adjective for it. Also starts with F, but
oh Lordy. Let's be careful. You never know. You start using F words and you're inviting us to drink beer. Who knows what we're going to say on the live show?
Yeah.
Next Thursday night. I can't believe they drafted Mansour Delane again. Whatever.
By the way, I think Mansour Delane is a legitimate possibility.
Of course he is. I think
it depends on how the board falls, of course. But.
Yeah. In fact, in a minute, I'm not going to do this yet, but I'm going to give you a scenario of what's drafted. And then I'm going to ask you to tell me who you think the Saints would draft at number 8 with that spot and who you would like to see them draft. It might be the same thing, might be two different things. We're going to get into that in a minute. But I found it interesting this morning to plug some of the things that's going on at NOLA.com and the Saints page, NOLA.com/Saints. Check it out. But I found it interesting. There was a thing this morning that Matt wrote, and the headline is 8 players whom the Saints could realistically draft with the 8th overall pick. Now, here's the thing, and go read it, and you could read the 8 players that Matt's got in there. We're not going to go through all of them. I don't want to spoil too much of it, but there is some interesting piece of it. He has David Bailey and Jeremiah Love in there, but he doesn't have Jordan Tyson. So it's way more realistic that Tyson is there at 8 and drafted by the Saints than it is that Love or Bailey. Both are, by the way, Bailey's minus 115 to go second. Love is even money to go fourth. And meanwhile, Love and Bailey both plus 3,000. And I know Matt probably doesn't look at the odds. But you look at Tyson, meanwhile, he's plus 425 to go to the Saints. He's among the top 4 guys to go. So that's why I had him on my title side. I just thought that was an interesting,
Yeah, I mean, it's always a little bit hard. Now, having said that, somebody always falls who we don't think is going to fall. And like, is it possible that Love or Bailey is available at 8 because somebody trades up and likes a different player? Yeah, it's possible. But I agree with you on Tyson. I think if I was making, and we all did this as a concept for our podcast last week, and I think maybe Rod Walker was the only one who put Tyson on his list. But I think if I had to do it over again, I would have Tyson on there too, because I'm getting a little more open to that possibility. And I guess I look at it this way, like everyone it's a red flag because of the injury concerns. And I had sort of dismissed the idea, but you have to allow for the fact that the Saints medical team would have had a chance to look at him
exactly
and decide, okay, exactly how injury prone is he? Could we continue? He blew out his knee 2 years ago. Or actually, I think it was 4 years ago. It was 2022, I believe, 3.5 years ago. And that part doesn't bother me as much because we've seen players make full recoveries from that. What bothers me is that he missed 6 games last year with hamstring issues. And those soft tissue things tend to linger and tend to pop back up. I mean, we saw it with Michael Thomas. We've seen it with myriad players who they just can't seem to avoid. Kendry Miller, before he blew his knee out, had all these soft tissue problems. And so that to me is are you drafting a guy who's going to be in and out of the lineup and you can never rely on him? And as soon as he starts to build momentum, he's out again. I mean, there's bust potential with Tyson. But
yeah. I think there's a massive upside as well, though. But exactly. I agree with you.
I think he might be the best receiver in the draft if you could just assume full health, which of course you can't for everybody. I think he might be better than Carnell Tate.
I mean, I don't think you can assume. I say this all the time. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, everybody's an injury risk. I get what you're saying. There are levels in there. Tate's obviously not had the same background injury wise that Tyson has had. So I get what you're saying there. I'm just saying. Tyler Shuck was an injury risk.
That's like saying, well, every player in the NFL is talented. Well, sure, but some are more talented than others.
Tyler Shuck has had major injuries in his college past.
Yeah, and his were more just the freak. The other thing Tyson had was a broken collarbone. Doesn't bother me. That's a freak thing. That could happen to anybody, right? But the hamstring thing specifically are I don't know, man, because some guys are just, maybe their hamstrings are just a little tighter on their leg than most people. And it's one of those things that feels like it could be a persistent issue.
I hear you. I don't necessarily agree. I think you just go and I think no matter what you do, you're taking a chance. I get where you're coming from. But to me, when you pass on a guy like that and he proves to be, like you say, I mean, he could be the best receiver. I think he is if he stays healthy. And that's actually the player that I want if they don't get the obvious ones who I don't think are going to slip. That'd be my choice there. But a couple things real quick. Wanted to show Jimmy Rosen. He says he's driving back from Jackson. Two good days of fishing in Venice. Glad to have us on for the ride home. We're glad you're here. Let's see. This is one of the ones that Chad Gage was talking about earlier. I didn't know about this. The reports of Reuben Bain being involved in a fatal car accident in 2024. Did you know about? I did not see this until this morning, until Chad reported it. Does that affect his draft status at all?
Yeah, I mean, I saw it, and I don't know. It's not good, but
Yeah.
I also think it was a little bit like, I don't believe he was.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Whenever these reports come out, and again, I said that, and I know I'm putting you on the spot here because you probably you didn't dive into it. I didn't tell you we're going to talk about this, but these are the sorts of things that I really want to read through before I actually give an opinion on. But just looking through the little bit that I looked through this morning, I mean, these things come out, and do they affect draft status? I don't necessarily think this, unless they think that he's actually going to go to jail or something along those lines. I mean, I don't think this would affect his draft status, but again, to me, even though he's plus 350 and technically the favorite to be drafted at number 8, if that's who the Saints want, that's not who I would want the Saints to pick. However, if that's who the Saints have at the top of their draft board and he falls to them there, then I don't have a problem with him drafting him there either.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's other concerns with Bain. I'm with you. I haven't completely read through it, and so I'm a little uncomfortable totally commenting on it. But
we can talk about it again next week.
I will say that I believe the charges were dismissed. He was charged with negligent driving or careless driving. I can't remember the exact term. And it was one of his passengers who died a few weeks after the crash. And the charges were dismissed. There was no field sobriety test administered, which tells me that he was not exhibiting signs of being under the influence at the time. A bad decision, a tragic thing in his past. Yes. But I mean, does that preclude him from learning from that mistake? This is not something that was like egregiously bad or has shown a pattern of that behavior. So the teams have got to they've got to do their due diligence here.
And I'm sure they all have.
I mean, if I was on the fence between him and another player, it might swing me. Sure.
Yeah, I hear that. And I think that's a possibility, but, again, I don't think that's the direction the Saints are going, but none of us can know what Mickey and Kellen Moore are thinking and whatever, that I think their rankings are already up there, and if they have done their due diligence, and like Zach talks about, whenever you see these sorts of things, I guarantee you anyone who has any idea or thought that they might draft Ruben Bain, they have dived well into this. Percy Bear says Charlie Campbell at Walter Football is mocking Kenyon Sadiq to the Saints at number 8. He's 6'3", 245, runs a 4.61. I don't see that, Zach. I mean, first of all, it's way too early. The odds on him right now are plus 1,600. I'm not saying the Saints couldn't go. If they were going to draft the Kenyon Sadiq, that's a situation where I think they try to trade down.
Yeah, they would try to trade down, which we know is unlikely. And I just don't see it as a need. I mean, we sit here and argue about what their biggest need is. Is it receiver? Is it defensive back? Is it edge rusher? Tight ends like 8th on the list, man. They have Juwan Johnson, who's coming off probably his best year. They have Noah Fant, who did not have a great year in Cincinnati last year, but he has been good in the recent past. And yes, you need a third body in there. Maliki Matafau, they drafted last year, could be that guy. Like, you're not drafting a third tight end in the first round.
I agree. I don't think that's not high. It's not high on the priority list. I know people don't love Juwan Johnson, but too bad. I mean, they're paying him $14 million to be a TE1, and you're not going to go draft a TE1 right now. I mean,
I'm also not a huge Sadiq fan. Like, I think that's more of a potential over production pick. There's a couple tight ends I like better, including the guy at Vanderbilt, Eli Stowers, as probably my favorite tight end and a guy you could get a little later.
It's because he beat Missouri.
He didn't beat Missouri.
Okay. Apathy says the Saints draft Bain is productive.
He had a huge game against LSU.
He did. If the Saints draft Bain, people will dress as Bane from Batman at the Dome. Well, I mean, we've seen him dress all sorts of things, so that's a possibility. Sean says Saints need to stay away from injury-plagued players. Don't need any more I mean, come on, you just don't know. And I know we're going to go back to this, and so we can disagree if we want. I don't think we strongly disagree because I think we're at least in the same ballpark. But I'm just injury-plagued players. Blah 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 blah. Injury-plagued players. If he's the best player on your board, you go draft him. Period. I don't care that he got hurt last year. Whoop-de-freaking do. I mean, if he is the best player available when you pick, in your opinion, go draft him, whatever it is. It's 100%, in my opinion, the number one need, or it's at least 1A. The number one or 1A need on this football team is wide receiver. And if Tate's gone because he's the safer pick, doesn't mean he's the better pick. He's the safer pick and he's still there. Go take Tate. That's fine. But if you don't get him, to me, Tyson or Lemon, in my opinion, and again, I'm jumping ahead of myself because I'm making it clear who I would want the Saints to pick. I've made it clear already, but you got to have offensive weapons around Shock. Or, I mean, we'll get to Caleb Downs in a minute. That's a whole nother story if he makes it to the Saints. But I mean, to me, if Tyson's the best player on your board, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But you can't sit there and think about, well, he had a hamstring injury last year, or he had this or whatever. I mean, again, you've talked about how many players have the Saints had that have had injury issues in the past and then they're fine. I mean, or players that didn't have injury issues before and they're not fine. I mean, look at Eric McCoy. He never had injury issues. Now he's been hurt 2 years in a row.
That's the problem. It's a little bit hard to predict. Because I don't agree with your premise that every player's injury prone and so who cares? I think that's a faulty premise because every running back is fast, but some are faster than others. So we parse it down to hundredths of a second in the 40-yard dash. Every lineman is strong, but some are stronger than others. So we measure exactly their bench press reps and all that sort of stuff and exactly how much they weigh. All of that. So we're looking at minutia here and everything else. Why wouldn't we look in minutia at as far as injury risk?
You're going to look at it for sure.
The trouble is, can you have your medical staff examine Jordan Tyson and say, yeah, those hamstrings look good to me. I don't think they'll, be bulky for the rest of his career. I don't think you can do that. And so you have to be careful with it. And the only thing I say, and I agree with you, like Tyson is kind of a high risk, high reward pick, and maybe he ends up being really good. But one of the reasons that wide receiver is such a big need on this team is because the guys you have in there already, Chris Olave, Devon Vele, Bub Means, I mean, we can go down the list. There's other guys too. Jalen Polk have all had injuries in their past. And so my question is, are you going to add another player who's an injury question mark, more so than most other players, into that room? Yes, you could draft it. Like Carnell Tate could get hurt in week 1. He could get hurt in training camp. Like that could happen too. But you are knowingly taking on a higher risk of that happening if you draft Jordan Tyson. And I just don't know if you want to add risk to an already risky position group.
Yeah, well, I'm a gambler. So, I mean, that's not going to affect my decision. If it's a guy that's been hurt, like, if he had multiple hamstring issues over and over again and he's, whatever, then maybe that would bother me a little bit more. I get what you're saying, but a guy like Jordan Tyson, to me, that's the guy that's going to end up being a steal of the draft for somebody. That's just my opinion, because I don't know if he's going to go at 8. I don't think he goes that high. I do think he goes later. And I think that somebody drafts him 13th, 14th, 15th, they're going to get an absolute steal. And one day we're going to be back here saying, oh, the Saints going to draft Jordan Tyson. I think that's going to happen. Anyway, we'll see.
It's definitely more of a possibility to me than it was a week ago. There's no doubt.
Lance wants to know what your brew of choice is.
Right now I'm just drinking Community, which is, it's funny. I didn't like Community when I first moved here.
Not coffee, silly.
Oh, well, I'm drinking coffee. No, I like an IPA.
He's talking about for the draft, like draft night.
Yeah, I'm an IPA guy or like a brown ale guy. So
I like brown ale.
I also do like a good hef, a good Hefeweizen. But it has to be a good one because sometimes you buy them and they're like, they don't do it right. Boulevard Wheat in Kansas City was my favorite beer in college.
I haven't had that.
It's hard to find down here, but like a Bevmo, sometimes they have it, or a wine and total or whatever they call it.
I know this is kind of cliche, but I love me some Guinness.
I do like Guinness or just a Newcastle Brown.
Any dark ale, I'm usually going to be pretty good with it. Hakeem, big dog, what's going on? Glad you're here. Lance also says there are 3 players in this draft, in his opinion, that surefire can't miss all pros: Bain, Downs, and Love. Other than that, it doesn't matter who we take at 8 because it'll work because of the free agency. I don't know that I agree on Bain. Downs, I do. Love, I think, is like I've said many times, Love is a franchise changer guy.
I think David Bailey is going to be.
I know you've been talking about David Bailey before he bolted up the draft charts.
And I think there's a reason for that. I think he's going to be really good.
Yeah. Earl, I hear you. I mean, he doesn't like the taking a risk guy. And look, I get why you don't. I'm just saying. Ahmed is, you're here to make me seem reasonable.
Is that a shot at me or a shot at you?
I think he means it as a shot at me, but it doesn't come off necessarily that way. I think
making Jim seem reasonable is hard work, man. All right.
Well, I mean, that's why you've been trying to do it for the last almost 5 years now. Charles likes him on black and tan Guinness. Hey, you can't go wrong. I'm just saying. Sean says, give us Lemon. He need a dog. Too many nice guys. No. Okay. Well, I mean, look, Lemon's, and he's plus 1,000. And I took their first names off so we could fit Lemon in the top 7. But Lemon has creeped into the top 7. It goes to show, if you look at it, 3 of the top 7 are wide receivers, Zach. And again, if you go and look for the Saints, they took the Saints off the board. You can't bet on the Saints what position they're going to draft. There are like 28 teams in there. The Saints aren't one of them. You can't draft their position because they're not really sure. But if you look at this list, I think odds makers tend to lean towards the Saints taking a receiver at 8 if they stay there.
It seems that way. I like Mekhi Lemon a lot. He's
so
not really the Saints kind of guy. And he's also played almost primarily in the slot where they've been using Holy Roller is a good one. I like that. Where they've been using Olave a lot. And so I just don't think it fits, even though I really do like him. And I think he could be a steal if somebody gets him, in the 14 to 16 range. I really think Mekhi Lemon could be the steal of the draft as far as wide receivers go. I just don't think it's going to be the Saints pick. I'm kind of like, Bain seems less likely just looking at those odds to me.
I agree.
But I think of the next 3 on the list, it could be any of those guys. I could see.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that
receiver, and I could also see Mansour Delane.
I hope that doesn't happen, but it's certainly a possibility.
And then Downs is the other one. If Downs falls, he's my choice. But
yeah,
he's
all right. All right. That being said, I want to switch into something here. I'm going to give you. All right. So I've said the Saints are. I've said this multiple times. I think you agree. The Saints are in a great spot at 8 if they stay at 8, because they likely will get one of the top 5 players on their board. Okay. If you go, people are going to fall, whatever it is. I think, top 5 players on their board, they're going to get one of those guys. At least one's going to fall to them. But I do think there's a worst case scenario. I put together a worst case scenario and kind of put it together via the odds. I talked a little bit about this on Tuesday. So I'm going to give you here. Here's my mock draft, the top 7. And if it goes this way, I want you to tell me who you think the Saints will pick, but then who you think or who you would pick if you were the GM of the Saints in that spot at number 8. Okay. All right, here we go. Number 1, Mendoza. I think we're pretty clear that's going to happen.
Yep.
Number 2, David Bailey climbing up the charts to the Jets. Strong possibility. Let's say that's where David Bailey goes. He goes number 2.
Although, just to interrupt real quick, did you see that the Jets canceled their top 30 visit with him this morning?
Did not see that.
Maybe
that's trying to throw shade.
That could be a smokescreen, but
yeah. It's a lot of smoke screens going on.
I don't know why you would smoke screen at number 2 when everyone knows
you're right.
One is going to be, but
maybe they're going back to Arvell Reese. I don't know, but we'll see. But Bailey's still high up there. Got to think he's going to go in the top 7. All right. So here's our mock draft right now. Mendoza, Bailey goes 2 to the Jets. The Cardinals then say, okay, great. We got Arvell Reese. They go for Arvell Reese. The Titans go Jeremiah Love. I'm going with the odds here. Number 5, the Giants take Sonny Styles. Number 6, Carnell Tate then goes to the Browns. I don't necessarily see that happen, but that's our mock today. And again, worst case scenario, not that there's a horrendous situation for the Saints at 8 anyway. And then number 7 goes Ruben Bain. In this scenario, what do you think the Saints would do, and what would you do?
I know what I would do, and I think it's also what the Saints would do, and that's Caleb Downs. I think that's the easy button. He fits exactly what you need. He's a plug and play starter for 5 years plus. Super intelligent player, brings a lot to that back end of your defense, which I think is a little shaky right now. I'm going Caleb Downs in that case. Jordan Tyson is the one that I could see the Saints doing, and I'd rather have Downs. I think he's a more sure thing. And then I guess Mansour Delane is kind of the wild card here. Like, but that doesn't fit for me as well as Downs. In that scenario, I'm going Downs, and I think the Saints would too.
If I replace Bain with Downs, and I don't think that the Commanders would do that because I don't think they have too many needs to go there, but they might. So let's just say Downs goes at 7 instead of Bain. Do you then change? Do you think the Saints go Bain? Then what's the answer? What do you think the Saints do, and what would you do in that scenario?
I actually think that's where Jordan Tyson comes into this. And I don't think I would do it. I might go Delane actually, but I think the Saints probably go to Jordan Tyson at that point. And that's the hard part, is because I don't know, like, if I had a medical staff looking at Jordan Tyson and saying, oh, no, that was a freaky thing, he'll be fine, he tried to come back too soon and that's why it recurred and whatever. But I think the Saints would probably go Tyson. I might go Mansour Delane and just say, let's add. I don't remember which comment it was. You said we need dogs. Like, Mansour Delane is a dog to me. And you bring him in, and then you kind of figure out who moves to the inside among he and Quincy Riley and Kool-Aid McKinstry. Somebody will fit in there and can play that star position. I just think you get talent.
Sean wants to know, if the Saints draft Jamad McCoy, would I lose it on the live stream? 100%, because I'm probably going to semi-lose it if they draft Delane. So if they draft unquestionably the second best cornerback, I don't care what anybody says, Delane's definitely better than McCoy. Okay, so if they're going to go cornerback, which I think is absolutely silly, but if they do that, then yes, I'm gonna go insane. He also asked if the Saints somehow Love falls and the Saints draft Jeremiah Love, am I trading AK? And the answer is no. I think I would want him even more to stay and be a veteran. I mean, look, if you can get an Alvin Kamara to be a guy who touches the ball 10 to 12 times in a game, and you don't have to overuse him, and you got Jeremiah Love and you got Etienne as your number one guy, and you don't have to overwork him, I think that's the perfect scenario of all worlds if you have all three of those guys in the locker room, in my opinion.
That's an interesting thought. I think the Saints would shop him. Yes. I think they would see if they could.
I don't know if he wants to play anymore.
Maybe if you trade him and a fourth rounder, you could move back into the third round or something. Like, they have those two picks at the end of the fourth round. And if you traded Kamara and one of those fourth round picks, you may be able to move back into the top 100 where you could find another impact player. Like that is, I think, what they would do. That doesn't mean that they would find a taker. And
I don't think they would.
Then the question would be, do you just out and out release him, or do you keep him around, like you said, to be kind of the mentor in the room? And maybe that's possible, but it's going to be tough if you had Jeremiah Love and Travis Etienne and you were, there's not a lot of carries to go around there. I don't think AK is getting 10 to 12 touches in that scenario. He's probably getting half that. And would he be okay with that? Would he become a problem in the locker room? I don't know. I mean, maybe he wouldn't have a choice, but I think it's not all that likely in that scenario that he's a Saint next year.
Yeah. What would make you say this, Lance? Bailey smells too much like Marcus Davenport. I mean, why? I mean, first of all, Marcus Davenport went with the 14th pick, so we're talking about way after where the Saints draft and then where Bailey might go. But why? What makes you say that? Just interesting. I mean, I just found that interesting.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know. I think Marcus Davenport, first of all, played at UTSA in his college career and had, I'm looking up his stats right now. His best season was 8.5 sacks as a senior. David Bailey played in the Big 12 and had 14.5 sacks as a junior.
Yeah, it's completely
so
different.
I think you're kind of apples to oranges there.
100% agree. I'm not a huge David Bailey fan, and it doesn't matter because he's never going to make it to the Saints, I think, at this point. If you look at all the mock drafts and the odds, I think the odds tell you that it's becoming super likely he doesn't make it. In fact, looking at this list at number 8, trying to find David Bailey and where he even is on this list, and he's plus 3,000. So the odds makers certainly don't think he's going to make it there.
I'd be surprised. Oh, David Bailey was a senior, by the way, just to correct myself.
Yeah,
he played 3 years at Stanford. I thought it was only 2.
Hakeem says the fact that we have 2 cornerback 2s and not a CB1 would justify us selecting Delane. I completely disagree. I think wide receiver.
That's actually where I'm at. I think
wide receiver 2 is way more important than a cornerback 2 or whatever. My opinion. There's no depth at wide receiver for the Saints at all.
There's no depth at corner either. Jim, one injury at corner. One injury. Kool-Aid McKinstry goes down in training camp. Who's your CB2 then?
Chris Olave goes down. You have 0.0 weapons.
I mean, you have more guys, and they're unproven. I'm not arguing with you that wide receiver is a need, but you at least have guys with some promise in your wide receiver room. If you have an injury at corner, you got nothing. You're talking about starting Hugo Amadi.
I don't. Then you can figure out that, in my opinion, more than you can figure out wide receiver, because you're talking about a team that I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they scored under 20 points a vast majority of their games last year.
They're both needs. Don't get me wrong. They're both needs. But to sit here and put wide receiver way, how many ways did you say above corner?
Probably, I'm going to guess it was 7.
6 or 7. Like if you to put it that much above corner is silly.
And you gave me a chance, and I didn't even slam the 6-7 thing there. You gave me an out, and I didn't even take it. Oh man, I'm really upset with myself. Let's see. Chad says Downs, Bell, Washington. That's the order. I mean, like, get Downs in the first round, then Bell, and I know everybody's talking about Chris Bell and blah blah blah. Go get defensive back in the second round.
But again, you have to take the players who fit where you're picking. You can't just say, "Oh, well, all players are made equal. We'll just pick the position we need." No, pick the best player who also fits a position.
I've given my reason why I don't necessarily think that you can do that, because again, this team, it's different when you're talking about 5-12 and 6-11 as opposed to a good team that take best player available and then you make things fit.
No. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying best player available. I'm not saying go take Francis Mauigoa if he's available.
Yeah,
that's a
segue.
But take the best player available at one of your positions of need, of which they have several, and then you move on from there.
Okay, segue. You segued right into a question that I had. Did they even ponder in the scenarios that I gave you of the mock drafts? If those tackles fall, first of all, I think if those tackles fall, to me, and I said this early in the show before you got on, that gives Mickey a chance to say, you know what? I know I never do this. Somebody's going to want to jump to 8 and get one of those tackles. And I just think that that's a perfect scenario for the Saints to move down 3-4 spots and still get a Jordan Tyson or whatever. I know it. They haven't done it, so until they ever do it, you can't say that they would or they wouldn't. But do they even ponder taking a tackle there? Because are any of these guys that good, and then move like a Fuaga to right guard, or I don't know, something along those lines? I know it's out there, but do they shock the world and do something along those lines?
I mean, I don't think so, because but that's why it would be a shock. I think, put it this way, I think a trade back, which is also very unlikely, is more likely than drafting an offensive lineman. I mean, if you do that, you've either taken a guard in the top 10, which is silly, or you've basically already admitted that Tali Fuaga is not going to be a tackle, which I don't think anyone should be ready to do yet. He had a good rookie year. Last year, he had a little more up and down, but he was hurt for a lot of that time. He was playing through some back issues.
Which is weird, because you would think left tackle is tougher to play. And again, I know he, like you said, he was dealing with some injury issues, but he was definitely better in his rookie season at left tackle than he was in his sophomore campaign as a right tackle.
Yeah, and that's what makes me worry is, I guess if again, talking about medical staff, if the medical staff looks at Tali Fuaga and says, this might be, a recurring issue throughout his career, we're not going to be able to count on him, and the Saints know that, and none of us do, then, maybe a guy like Mauigoa or Fano makes sense. I have no reason to believe that's the case. We haven't heard anything. I don't think so. I think it's unlikely, but
that would be a draft night shocker.
It is interesting, if
there are better odds that Mauigoa, and I know I'm pronouncing it wrong, all three of the linemen, by the way, there are I won't say way better. I'm not going to way better odds that they go ahead of Jeremiah Love and Bailey, but all three of those guys have they're a better chance. In fact, even the guard, how do you pronounce his name?
Mawanoa. Oh, guard.
Ione. There are better odds that he goes to the Saints than Love or Bailey as well. Again, I don't think they're going to do that.
I don't either. And I just don't think they're ready to give up on Caesar yet. I think they're
I get that just too. I think so, they've got the money invested in them. They're not going to, I don't think they're ready to give up on him either.
It doesn't make a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Could you take a guard later on in the draft to where if Caesar does come out and struggle again, you have another option? Yes, I think that's a possibility, but I wouldn't do it in the first couple rounds. And I just don't think it's, but sometimes we sit here before the draft and say, okay, this, and this are the team's needs, and they're definitely going to go fill one of those needs. And they do something crazy. And you go, well, why did they do that? And it's because that tells you more about what they think about their roster than maybe we realized before the draft. Like the Falcons taking Michael Penix a couple of years ago tells me that they were not confident in Kirk Cousins, and that actually ended up being correct. Now, I'm not sure they replaced him with the right draft pick, but that tells you post-draft.
Or Raheem Morris says that I feel more comfortable going, even though they spent that money. Raheem Morris says, I don't see how we can pass up on a guy maybe on his, because I had Michael Penix high on my list. I thought, and I still think Michael Penix is going to be a really good NFL quarterback. So, hindsight's 2020. Maybe he isn't going to be as good as we thought, but maybe that was something where Raheem Morris stepped in and said, that's the guy that I really want. I think he can be our quarterback of the future for the next 12 years. He can be our next Matt Ryan.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is like it tells you more about what the Kool-Aid McKinstry is another good example of this. The Saints took him in the second round a couple years ago, and we were like, well, corner is not a need. They got Marshawn Lattimore and Paulson Adebo and Alontae Taylor. Why did they draft a corner with a second round pick? Well, they were telling us that they were not planning on keeping those guys around long term.
Right.
And so sometimes the teams draft the analysis.
But we could kind of see that. We could see that one coming. I mean, we actually talked about that before. I mean, I don't know that we thought that they would trade up to get Kool-Aid, but I don't think it was a huge shock. I mean, I remember that, I think that Friday night I wasn't able to go on the air live or whatever, but I remember talking about it when I came on. I was sitting in my car and you and Duncan were on, and we were on together. And I don't think any of us were super shocked that it happened, but at the same time, it's not like if they drafted a lineman with the 8th pick this year, they did that.
Yeah. A top 10 pick on something that does not appear to be a need. That would be a shock, but it would be very.
What if he's the best player available, Zach Ewing? What if he's the best player available?
I didn't say the best player available. I said the best player available at a position of need.
Oh, okay.
Don't pigeonhole yourself into one position, but you have 3 or 4 positions that are clearly above the others in terms of needs. And I would take the best player who fills any of those, and then you move on later in the draft to fill the others.
I think the Dat family's on your side in this one, but that's all right. They've been against me before. They'll be against me again. Brian says odds are you can get a wide receiver as a star second round versus a corner one like Delane in the second round. I disagree. I think you can to me, Tate, Tyson, and Lemon are that much better than anyone you're going to get in the second round. And of course, Delane is much better than anybody you're going to get in the second round. But I think they're both the same. And when you talk about, and I've said this before, I'm going to say it again for people who don't listen or don't want to listen or don't care to listen. I think you may not want to, but you absolutely have to think about contracts and money situations, especially in the future. You have to compute that all into what your selection is going to be. Because if you can get a first round wide receiver who ends up being a star in the first round, and you can sign him for a rookie deal you got him for 4 years with the option 5th year, as opposed to a cornerback, in the long run, the money you're going to save in the long run, especially if they're what and what, maybe they aren't what and what. Maybe Delane on your board is that much better than Jordan Tyson. I don't know, but I'm just saying, if you're going what and what, then money absolutely have to be a factor, and the contracts in the future have to be a factor, because the wide receiver contracts are absolutely out of freaking control. And if you can get a stud at a rookie contract, to me, that makes a big difference.
Okay, but I understand what you're saying, and that is why wide receivers and quarterbacks and edge rushers go fat and left tackles go higher than in the draft. That is true. But in terms of whether you got it in the first round or second round, that makes no difference, because the 5th year option is how much you pay the guy on a 5th year option is specific to the position. So you're not really saving a whole lot of money. If you pick up a 5th-year option on a wide receiver, you're still going to have to end up paying them a pretty good chunk.
I mean, they only had to pay Olave, and I say only, but it wasn't like $17 million. I don't have it in front of me, but
right. But I'm saying, if let's say you had a cornerback on the 5th-year option instead, it would be probably half that. So you're
talking about $17 million versus $40 million. You're still saving $20 to $25 million.
I just don't think that's enough of a factor, talking about saving that money 5 years down the road.
I'm not just talking about the option year, though. I'm talking about, then to re-sign the guy or to have him stay in the room. And like, look at what they're going to have to pay Olave now. But if you want to bring in a free agent wide receiver, like just thinking about Jawan Jennings, okay, he might, and maybe he is or isn't the best wide receiver left on the board. But if you wanted to go sign a Jawan Jennings as opposed to whoever the best cornerback on the board, it's not the same thing. So, I mean, I think those have to be a part of it. Anyway, lastly, before we move on, just overall odds in the draft. Have you been looking at the odds? Because I want to get to that date because it's getting time. I gotta
not too much, but tell me what you got.
They're interesting because we talk about, and I'm just going to go through them real quick because we kind of talked about them on Tuesday, and we're definitely going to talk about them next week. But we talked about David Bailey moving all the way up at number 2 pick. Now he's -115, and Arvell Reese, he's jumped up a little bit. So Arvell Reese and David Bailey are kind of what and what now at -115. And let me put the other slide up as we go on this, but just kind of get your opinion. Have you done a mock draft? I know we've done, I know that NOLA.com has done mock drafts. Have you done one?
I personally have not. Matt Paris has done one. Luke kind of did one. What Luke did was he used the PFF simulator to do the first 7 picks and then said, okay, here's what I would do with the Saints. And then he had them do everything. He actually did the Saints' first 3 picks, and he had every pick in between simulated. And so, you would hate his mock. Jim, we talked about it on Wednesday's podcast. So you have to go look that up. But he didn't have the Saints picking a wide receiver in the first 3 rounds. And he said, I don't think this will happen, but I just liked other guys better at all these spots. And that's how it turned out. And then Jeff Duncan's doing his mock that's coming out tomorrow morning on the website.
Ryan, are you trying to win Dumbass of the Week? I love you. You've been a regular. You've been here a long time, but this is literally the dumbest comment I've had all week. You are. If I didn't love you so much, I would definitely go Dumbass of the Week. By that money logic, you should draft a quarterback at number 1 every 3rd year. Think of how much money. Get out of here.
Well, also by your logic, you should never draft a running back in the first round. So
Jeremiah Love is a game changer. That's the only reason why. I mean, normally I wouldn't advocate for a running back, but he's a different running back, in my opinion. He is I'm not saying he's like Saquon Barkley, but he's of the ilk of that talent level of Saquon Barkley. So that's why if Jeremiah Love is there, I'm running the podium. But anyway, David Bailey and Arvell Reese right now, the odds are that they're going 2-3. What the order is, we don't 100% know. But I think that's weird for the Cardinals. I've said this the other day. I can't believe the Cardinals wouldn't take an offensive lineman there, in my opinion. That's just kind of crazy. Anyway, Titans look like they're going Love. I mean, that's the overwhelming odds right now. If they don't go Love, then if he makes it to the Commanders take him, or someone jumps up and takes Love before he gets to the Saints. Styles right now is +175 to go to the Giants. Caleb Downs +330. So there's a possibility that Downs goes before the Saints get to him because he could go to the Giants. Either way you look at it, I think the Giants are really who the Saints need to look at because someone they want might get sniped there. And the Giants have sniped the Saints before, which I find interesting.
Also a trade hotspot.
Yeah, that's definitely true. It won't be with the Cowboys, though. We're talking about
Cowboys can trade with really any of those teams between 3 and 6, though.
Carnell Tate +175 now to go to the Browns. Again, the Browns, to me, I can't see the Browns passing on one of the offensive linemen. I mean, their offensive line absolutely stinks. And look, I don't care what anybody says, their quarterback situation's a mess. How can they not go offensive line at 6?
Just depends on what they think, man. If Carnell Tate's a difference maker to them and Maui Noah's not, you have to go with the guy you think will make an impact, no matter the position.
Okay. We're going to have fun. This is going to be every pick's going to be 10 minutes of fun. It's going to be fun. And then number 7 right now, Sonny Styles is the favorite. Jeremiah Love at +250. Carnell Tate at +330. Ruben Bain 550. Mansour Delane after that. Caleb Downs. So I don't know. I mean, again, I think the Saints are in a great spot again at 8. One of the guys on their board, I think, is going to fall. So we'll see. Lots more to talk about as we go through the next week. But any last comments on the draft? Again, we're going to have time. You're gonna come on next. You can be able to come on next Wednesday. It'll be our last show before the draft. I didn't even ask you that.
That's going to be tough. Maybe
it's no big deal if you can't.
Mickey Loomis is speaking at noon that day, and I don't know. And then we're going to record our episode after that. So I don't
play it by
know.
ear.
We'll see. I might be able to pop on for a little while.
Or we may push maybe we'll push the show up a little bit to 10 or something along those lines. We'll play that by ear. All right, we're moving on. Plenty of draft talk again. We got 2 more drafts. We got 2 more Dats here Monday and Wednesday before our live draft show on Thursday. We'll tell you about it again before we get done. But Zach, hang on, because you're going to play the role of Gabe Henderson and Dat Date in history in just a minute. We're going to have a lot of fun. If we had a few boring Dat dates, a lot of stuff happened on April 16th in history. Lots of birthdays to talk about as well on April 16th. So don't go anywhere just yet. We're going to have fun with it. We told you earlier, we'll let you know more about how Evangeline Securities can help you figure out what your family-run or privately held business is worth and whether it's time to sell. How do they do it? Best question of the day. Forget about whether the Saints would draft a tackle or Mansour Delane or whether I'll go off on draft night. No. After that complimentary valuation of your company, if you decide to proceed, Native Norland and Nick Braden and the folks at Evangeline, they will begin an extensive auction process among established private equity funds from around the whole wide world. They'll maximize the return for his or her family. Evangeline Securities, the top producer on that platform. Very few like them in this area, and 0.0 with their dedication and success. They're fully licensed. They're ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick about what's really important. And it's not if I lose my mind on draft night, it is the rest of your life. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. Abby Celestine wants to know how the Giants can pass on an O-lineman because Jackson Dart is getting a concussion every week. It's a good question, too. They kind of need an offensive lineman, too, don't they?
Yeah, although Jackson Dart kind of gets a concussions because he's lowering his head and ramming through piles and stuff. Like, they need to fix that before they – no O-line is going to fix that instinct. You know what I mean?
Sean really wants Kenyon Sadiq. So can you see a team converting? No, he's too slow with his speed and size. 4.6 something 40, didn't he? Maybe a DK.
He could be, but I think he's more likely like, one of these just athletic tight ends, kind of a Noah Fant type. I could be wrong. Maybe the ceiling is Antonio Gates, but the floor is, just one of these guys who kind of pops every now and then, but doesn't have consistency.
Charles says, if Demario Davis never left, would that change the Saints' opinion on drafting defensive help? No, because I think Caden Ellis is going to be better than Demario Davis.
Caden Ellis was the Demario replacement. So they wouldn't have Ellis if they had Demario. I don't think it makes a difference.
Yeah, 100%. And Hart says, with the 6th pick of the 2026 NFL draft, that Cleveland Browns select Evangeline Securities from Louisiana. Hey, I'm sure Nick appreciates it. All right, time to move on. I know you haven't been a part of our Dat. I'm sure you've heard the Dat Date segment before. If you haven't, basically what we do is we go back in time and we ask Gabe some Jeopardy-like questions. We give him facts, and you can answer in the form of a question or not, whatever way you want to answer, but I will give you some questions. Most of them are fairly easy. Some of them not so easy, and we'll see how good you do. Gabe was 3 out of 4 on Tuesday. I think there might be 5 questions today, so we'll see what we get. All right, you ready?
Yep.
All right. April 16th, that date in history, 97 years ago today. We're going way back. This team became the first in MLB history to wear numbers on the backs of their uniform, and those numbers corresponded to their places in the batting order. And here's your hint.
I know the answer.
Okay, well, then you don't need a hint, but I'm going to give the listening audience a hint. If they did this in the fictional world, Pedro Serrano probably would have wore number 4.
But instead, it was Lou Gehrig because it was the New York Yankees.
That's actually incorrect. The first team to wear numbers on their backs of the uniform were the Cleveland Indians.
Was it really? Okay, you said Serrano. All right.
That's why
I really thought it was the Yankees.
Yeah, I actually thought it was the Yankees too. When I read that, I'm like, that's a great question. That's why I put the Pedro Serrano hint in there. So you can hold on. Hold on. If we're gonna do this, I got to do it right. I know it's late, but whatever. All right, there you go.
All right, I'm off to a rip-roaring start here. I was confident in that.
Staying in the world of baseball, you better get this one right. At age 40, this Major League Baseball player debuted for his new team, the Boston Braves, 91 years ago today. And of course, he homered.
91 years ago. It's Babe Ruth.
All right. Good job. Nice job. You got that right. 1 out of 2, baby.
Didn't play long.
Huh?
He didn't play long for him.
No, he did not play long for them. He was he ate himself out of baseball. He was 40, for Christ's sake. He was ready to go. And yes, Gen Z and Babe Ruth sucked, but that's a whole different story. Anyway, getting a little tougher going back to the Cleveland Indians. This pitcher remains the only player ever to toss a no-hitter on opening day. It was a 1-0 masterpiece over the Chicago White Sox at Comiskey Park. It was on this, oh my goodness. It was back on this day in 1946.
I met him as a kid. That'd be Bob Feller.
Bob Feller.
He signed a glove for me at a minor league game when I was.
Did he really? You still have it?
Maybe somewhere.
He was never a Seattle Mariner. Nope. All right, you ready? Moving on, you're 2 out of 3. We all know that Cal Ripken is Mr. Iron Man, having played in a Major League Baseball record 2,632 straight games. However, the National League, this Dodger broke the record in the National League 43 years ago today with his 1,118th consecutive game. He would finish the streak, and this should give it away, at 1,207 games on July 29th, 1983, as a member of the San Diego Padres, and that record still stands today.
Wait, so he set the record with the Dodgers, but was
Correct.
Later traded to the Padres?
Cannot cheat.
I'm not going to cheat. But that just clarifying, he set the record with the Dodgers and then was traded to the Padres in 83.
82, he set the record. 83 to this date in 82. No, this date in 83, he set the record, and then later that year.
So this is
traded to the Padres.
A little bit before my time. I'm trying to think of who was traded from the Dodgers to the Padres. Was it Steve Garvey?
All right, you are rolling, man. And you're only
got
on
all
one
baseball for me.
All right, this is basketball, but again, if you don't get this right, I'm going to find something. I'm going to give you this sound over the gong. I mean, you should explode if you don't get this one right. This GOAT, there you go. This GOAT played his final NBA game today in 2003. And Washington Wizards fan gave him a 3-minute standing ovation. If you don't get it, I'm telling you. If you don't get this answer right, we're going to force you to watch a compilation of the top 2 hours worth of LeBron flops.
Michael Jordan.
That's not even worth an applause. I mean, I'm just saying. All right, we got some lanyap for you. No show tomorrow, but one of the most significant draft days in Saints history was 27 years ago tomorrow. Talking about easy. You don't guess this. I'm going to force you to wear dreads on the live draft show and smoke a cigar. What happened on this day 27 years ago tomorrow in Saints history?
Mike Ditka got his running back 27 years ago, I believe, and gave up.
Certainly did.
All he gave up was the entire draft to do it.
He certainly did. You are correct, sir. You don't even get an applause, but that one was way too easy. Ahmed got it, so
yeah,
everybody got it. It was definitely Ricky Williams. Other local event, one other local event that's worth mentioning on Dat Date in history. Gretna's Mel Ott hit his 511th and final Major League home run as the New York Giants defeated the Philadelphia Phillies 8-4 on opening day of 1946. The next day, he dove for a fly ball, injured his knee, and was basically done after that. He was a player manager for the Giants from 1942 to 48. Interestingly enough, the first year he was a player manager, he also was the home run leader in the National League. When he retired, he had 200 more home runs than the next player on the list all time of any National Leaguer. He was inducted in the Hall of Fame in 1951, and he died in 1958. I didn't realize this till I looked this up, and I'm a Gretna guy. I was born and raised in Gretna. He died in 1958 at age 49, just days after being injured in a car accident in Bay St. Louis. The great Mel Ott, his last home run hit on this day in 1946, his 500th 111th home run. Zach's Hart says, if Zach wears dreads, I have to wear the wedding dress. That would be an odd. Zach can wear the dreads. I'll smoke the cigar.
I don't think I could grow dreads.
Yeah, you just wear the ones that Dick wore.
I'd have to get a wig.
Dick found some. Right. Before we go off the air today, birthdays. The Jonathan Vilma turns 44 years. Jonathan Vilma is 44 years old. All right. Some guys that I know you know Jonathan Vilma, but you don't know these. You probably don't know these two guys. They're both have passed away, unfortunately. But longtime Saint center John Hill would have been 76 years old today. He died in 2018 of pancreatic cancer. Tight end, man, you want to talk about a great player when I was growing up. Loved watching this guy play. Tight end Henry Childs would have been 75 today. He died in 2016 of a heart attack. And then another local name, I'm sure you know this name, Joe McKnight. Joe McKnight, special teamer, played at John Curtis. He would have been 38 years old. He died 10 years ago today after a road rage incident that I had to write about, as a matter of fact.
I remember that's a sad deal.
One of the saddest stories I've ever had to write. And that's a couple other birthdays. We had one NBA legend playing his final game on April 16th. Another was born on April 16th. You want to guess? He's 79 years old today. He's a super legend, like in the GOAT conversation.
He's 79. And you said what sport?
Basketball.
Kareem?
Yep. On this date, Lou Alcindor was born 79 years ago today, and obviously later changed his name to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. On this same date, 79 years ago, and I didn't know that he passed away, but Johnny Greer, the first black head referee in NFL history in 1988, was born. He died in 2022. It seems like he was a referee for a long time. I did not know that he died in 2022. He's actually one of the very fantastic referee. It was sad to see him go. You know who else his birthday today? 74 years old today, although his girlfriend, I don't know, maybe they're not together anymore. I think she's like 24. Bill Belichick is 74 years old today. And Bruce Bochy is 71.
She ages the opposite direction. He's going to be 80 and she'll be 20 in a few years.
Yeah, it's like, what was that movie with where they Benjamin Button? Age backwards. Maybe Bill Belichick should age backwards. I don't know. All right, Zach, we will find a way to get you on at some point next week, even if it's just for a few minutes. And tell everybody about our live draft show coming up again and all the good stuff going on at NOLA.com.
Yeah, we've got draft coverage every single weekday. Starting next week, it'll be multiple things a day about the Saints and the draft. Check it out, NOLA.com/Saints. Have 2 more Saints Insider episodes before the draft as well. And then, of course, the live draft show. I don't think 6 o'clock, I guess, Jim will just come on 6.
I think the draft starts at 7, I think. So I think
that's 6.
I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, they always screw around for 20 minutes when it starts. So we don't need to come on a lot before, but we'll be on until the first round's over. So we'll be with you all night.
Very informative show today. And then, as always, you can find all the Saints Insiders on NOLA.com/Saints. You can find their shows on their own YouTube channel. Just search Saints Insiders. And also, you host the LSU Insiders as well.
That's right. Lots going on in LSU world.
It's fun to talk about LSU baseball these days. But
I mean, we'll see what they can do, but they better get busy. And then gymnastics going for the national title this weekend as well.
There you go.
Got to show it all with Scott Ravelli.
Find it all on NOLA.com and all of their YouTube pages. We will see you next week, Zach. Looking forward to it.
All right. See you, Jim.
Zach Ewing is great contributor to this show. Thank you, Charles. I appreciate it. Hart, will Joe DeStefano make an appearance on draft night? Unfortunately, I'm giving as much love to Evangeline and Joe DeStefano as I can beforehand because it is a show hosted by the NOLA.com people. And although it is simulcast here on DAT, we have to use their sponsors. That was one of the whatchamacallits, whatever. I had to give in on that one. So yeah, we'll have to give Joe a little extra love here on the show, on the shows next week. And of course, he will be well featured as we go into shows coming up 498, 499, and 500 the week after the draft. we're going to have the week after the draft, we're going to have a lot of fun too. So y'all want to stick around. We got 2 great weeks coming up on Dattitude. I am really jumping into the SI thing. In fact, I got a meeting in about a half an hour. Hopefully they're going to show me how to actually publish stories. So hopefully my first published story on SI will be tomorrow. Looking forward to that. I want to thank Zach Ewing for not only coming on and talking about Saints draft as we've been and gearing up, but also filling in for Gabe and doing that date. I told you it was going to be a good one. I am really enjoying that date segment, and I hope y'all are too. We'll keep doing it till it runs out of steam. But, as we get closer to football season, then it becomes more fun. We don't want to quit doing it during football season. That's when we're really going to have fun. So we'll have that date. When we do that date during football season, you're going to like, oh, I remember that game. Or I remember, whatever it is. We need you here. We need that date. You need that date on that wall. You want that date on that wall. It's a lot of dats. That's Callie. Thank you so much. We thank all the regulars for being here as always. And again, the best way to support this show, give us a thumbs up and a like if you haven't done so already. And again, please subscribe to the Dattitude YouTube page. That is where the analytics help us the most. Thank you so much. If you're a follower on Facebook, if you're a follower on X, I appreciate you just as much. But for analytics purposes, where we're trying to get out our name and still working as an independent journalist, it's on YouTube. That's where we're trying to do our best work. We thank you so much for being a part of everything. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, and many more. And I know it's weird us being here on a Thursday and we're not going to be back again until Monday. Thank you, Ahmed. Again, all the regulars, thank you so much. We won't be back again until Monday. So that's a 3-day weekend without Dattitude. Will you be all right? Again, I'm doing play-by-play tonight for VSN. I'll be doing North Shore against Natchitoches Central. Looking forward to that as the baseball playoffs start in Louisiana High School Athletic Association. Next weekend, we got Newman. Lots of great things going on. I'm telling you, if you enjoy high school sports at all, please check out Varsity Sports Now. Go look at the webpage and all the things we're doing. You can find all sorts of things, especially, again, this is the last month. This is where it is. You take the whole summer of high school sports are about to be over. It's our last few weeks here of high school sports. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to having a lot of fun. And I will see you all on Monday. Again, have a great, fantastic, wonderful, glorious weekend. It's draft week, y'all. Coming up starting on Monday. We'll see y'all then. Until then, take it easy, my friends.